Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys, coming to you Monday after the debacle that we all witnessed yesterday at US Bank Stadium. Cowboys destroy the Vikings 40-3. What can be described as just a complete meltdown is probably accurate. Guys, we're not even going to get into our bold predictions on scores because we were completely wrong on that. Could read off some stats here in a second, and I will. But Tanner, Goose, we always talk about never too high, never too low. That's going to be tested after this one because that was brutal. So, Goose, I'm going to start with you. Which of the 3 points that the Vikings scored yesterday were your favorite?
None of them. You're right. It is putting, like, I look at our 8-2 record, and I could have 1000% handled the loss here. I didn't want to lose to the Cowboys at home. But I think in my prediction, I did say I feel like this is going to be a letdown game, but I didn't want to bet against a team that had continued to prove that feeling wrong. So I could have handled the loss, a complete blowout where we were dominated in every phase of the game for the entire game. It's pretty frustrating. I hope that it doesn't become a blueprint for other teams to beat the Vikings. We've been asking them to put together a complete game all season, and they did the opposite and showed a team that's just lost to a bad Packers team how to clobber us. So tough game. I'm glad that the TV broadcast forced me to stop watching it because I had enough, but I couldn't get myself to turn the TV off. So they did it for me.
That's a dejected Goose if I've ever seen one right now. So, Tanner, I know you said it was unreal yesterday when we were watching it. Tanner and I were at the game, unfortunately, so we committed a whole day to that thing, and that's what we got from it. So, Tanner, takeaways here the day after.
Yeah, I think Goose nailed most of what I wanted to say as well. My biggest concern with this loss is you just gave the entire league a blueprint on how to beat you. That's what they did. A really good pass rush dejects our offensive line. Granted, Christian Darrisaw didn't play a majority of the game, but that's our kryptonite, is not being able to protect Kirk Cousins, and our defense just isn't built. Actually, I do think they are built to be able to compete in games, but I think Ed Donatel is not the answer at defensive coordinator. I don't see any adjustments, hasn't had any adjustments all year. I think Goose, you did nail it again. I think it's not losing 40-3, it's how we lost. If it was a 27-20 loss or 30-20 or 30-14, a loss is a loss, and you accept those. I mean, it's hard to win in this league, and the Cowboys are a really good team, but when you get absolutely thumped at home 40-3, second worst home loss in team history, I just think that looks terrible coming off of a game where you just beat arguably the best team in the league on the road. So we're going to find out now on Thursday if this team is for real or not. Again, I guess it feels like. And Kevin O'Connell's got to prove to us that he can gather these guys, get them put together, and come back and fire out and win.
Well said. Well said. I would say the Cowboys fans that were at the game yesterday almost felt sorry for us by the end of the game. We had a YouTube commenter here that I think summarized basically how the game went from the Cowboys fan perspective. But I'll read it real quick here, guys. Cody on our YouTube channel, Cowboys fan here. YouTube suggested this video to me this morning. I'm not sure I watched it, but man, you guys nailed it on what we will be saying if they lose portion. Number one, Vikings abandon Dalvin Cook way too soon and play it right into Dallas' strength, the pass rush. It's almost as if the Vikings coaching staff didn't pay attention to how Green Bay beat us last week and kept running the ball even while down 14 in the fourth quarter. The Vikings came out flat, which was the second point. Kind of made me sad hearing you all talk about it. It's weird and interesting and fun and sad when you've been a longtime fan and understand and anticipate the psychological frailties of your organization. You guys knew intuitively that fighting against the complacency, coming off a huge win, and what stumbling block was ahead for your squad. All that said, you guys are a great team. Time to throw this one out and push forward. Skol. So, Cody, we appreciate you actually seeing some positivity, because I don't think a lot of us are ready for that today on this Monday. So, guys, I wanted to just go through a couple stats, a few stats here, I should say, on the game, because I think that speaks more loudly than how it all unfolded, because it was just a complete domination on one end. It was tied at 3, obviously, after the quick turnover on third down and the first drop back of Kirk's day. Cowboys, though, outgained the Vikings 458 to 183 in total yardage, which includes 307 to 110 on the passing game, 151 to 73 the rushing game. Yards per play was 6.5 to 3.4. They did not punt until 4 minutes to go, I believe, in the third quarter, which you may have missed if you were watching on TV, because I believe you were watching the Bengals at that point, if you're watching the CBS broadcast. Time of possession was 37 to 22. Turnovers, that huge one early. And then we mentioned the Vikings punted 7 times to Dallas's 2 punts. So, guys, I think those stats, they speak pretty loudly on what we watched yesterday. One other note, biggest home loss since 1963. Tanner, you know I'm old, but I'm not that old. So that was the biggest home loss of our lifetime, and historic poor performance. So, guys, I don't know what our we talked about bold predictions. We're not even going to get into that because we all picked a win. So we're going to spend a lot of time on rants and raves today, because I feel like there's going to be a few rants, and I'm going to let Tanner start us off with that today.
So just pick one, or should I?
Just give me your biggest, boldest rant for now. We'll see where we go.
I think for me, it's probably. You're probably going to laugh and disagree, but I feel like it's the defense. They're on the field too often. It's not even necessarily the players that we have. I just don't think Ed Donatel is a good coach. There's no adjustments. There hasn't been any adjustments all year long. And once we get to the playoffs, we're going to be playing teams like Dallas every single week. We're not going to be playing little old Detroit or the Bears. You need to be able to adjust to situations throughout the game to be able to give your offense a chance to score points, which we're not doing. Our offense isn't playing up to potential, but I guess for me, it's more so Ed Donatel than it is the actual defense in itself. I know Cam Dantzler and Dalvin Tomlinson didn't play yesterday either. But granted, I don't think they would have made that big of a difference even if they did play. So for me, it's just giving up huge plays every single week, and it needs to be adjusted.
Well stated. Goose, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Tanner. I know sometimes I stick my neck out there for our defense because I feel like we're an offensive team, talent wise, coach wise, and so I want them to do their part. But obviously, 40 points, whether you're on the field all game or not, is pretty inexcusable. And someone needs to make it not so easy on them. But I'll go coaching all around. I think that Delvin had seven carries in the first quarter, which means he had 4 for the rest of the game. In the first quarter, we realistically probably should have been tied 10-10 if TJ catches that pass that goes right through his hands. So while we ran the ball, we were in the game. Delvin got 1 carry in the second quarter, 3 carries in the third quarter, obviously none in the fourth. To me, that's pretty inexcusable when Kirk is dropping back to pass and getting pressured every single time. You have to balance it, keep it balanced more. I think the one thing that the Packers have kind of done this season is, even if they're down 14-21, our commenter had mentioned that as well, is that they've stuck with what they're best at, which is running the ball. I think our offensive line, especially when there's injuries, you need to give them a break of dropping back against Micah Parsons and Lawrence over and over again. So I think just both sides of the ball, not adjusting, not adapting to what's happening, not being able to change their game plan. I think Brent, you've mentioned it in the past. Like it seems like we're good in our scripted plays, things that we can prepare for, but when things aren't going your way, I don't feel like they're really adjusting what they need to do. I think seeing a Dan Campbell aggressive defense, like in the line of scrimmage, blitzing, really makes it hurt to watch Donatello go, all right, corners, 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. You still get beat deep. You still aren't there for the short pass. It's like, okay, you guys, someone's got to make a play. So, yeah, it's just really tough to watch. And like I said, if we get back on track, this will be a drop in the bucket. But it really makes me worry that was a bit of an exposing game for the rest of the week.
We are still 8-2, guys. So
Yeah.
don't cry too much here. We still are 8-2. Haven't had that game. The game that the Cowboys put on us is what we've been looking for a long time. Maybe not to that extent, but to just put away a team early and cruise, and that obviously didn't happen yesterday. You mentioned the scripted plays, Goose, and I fell for this big time yesterday, and I have to share this because after we gave up the strip sack fumble and held them to a field goal, and then we basically marched right down the field and could have scored a touchdown and been up 7-3, and we ended up kicking the field goal. I said to Tanner, and this aged very poorly, I said, Tanner, we may give up a lot of points tonight, but we are going to score a lot of points. And then we're still looking for that next point yet Monday morning here. So it did not go well, guys. My rants, I think, would be easy to pick on because there's some injuries, but offensive line. If Kirk gets sacked 7 times, we're not going to win any of those games. I don't know what the high before yesterday was with sacks allowed, but even the pressures and inability to even drop back because there was someone meeting him in the backfield. I know we can rail on Cousins sometimes. I don't think yesterday was on him really at all. I mean, maybe he could have found a way to make a few more plays, but really was just getting destroyed back there. And I was wanting them to take him out probably sooner than they did just because it was not going well at all for him. So that would be my rant from yesterday. Guys, I'm going to ask you to dig deep here and try to find a rave of some sort of positivity from yesterday's game, or just as we look forward.
Yeah, there is no certain thing that you're going to find from the game yesterday in itself that was positive. I don't think there was a single player on the team that had a good performance. So for me, it would just be the fact that we are 8-2, still the 2 seed in the NFC, still 4 or 5 games up in our division. And we got, what do we have, like 6 or 7 games left in the year? So season's coming to a close quickly. We're still in a pretty good spot. And I know I was listening to Purple Daily. We were listening to the vent line on the way home last night. And I think Mackey had mentioned there are multiple teams in the past that won Super Bowls that got their butts kicked during the year. I think the Bucks were the most recent one in 2021. I think they lost like 38-3 at one point. So it does happen, but it really just does come down to Kevin O'Connell and his staff being able to fire back here in 4 days. We got a short week and we have to play the Patriots and a very well-coached team on Thursday night on national television again. So
prime time. I bet NBC is really looking forward to that, huh?
You're going to be right in front of the national audience again, trying to prove doubters wrong again. So I am excited about that, but I'm hoping that they just don't come out flat like they did again yesterday. So
huge opportunity there to bounce back for sure. It is nice not having to wait a full week to play again after something like that. Goose, what do you have for a rave after yesterday's performance?
Yeah, I figured we'd have a lot of overlap because there, like Tanner said, there really wasn't anything. I think the only thing to rave about is that we won all of those tight games so that we can afford maybe a loss or 2 or 3, like hopefully not like this, but losing 2 or 3 games that we felt like were winnable. We built that buffer for us. So, and then the hope that we can bounce back on a short week and kind of get that taste out of our mouth. In years past, I've been excited for this type of game when I felt like we just came out flat. I am nervous on a short week that we're not going to have Darisaw. Sounds like that's for sure. I could see Delvin Tomlinson still not being ready. A Caleb, this what I worry about is we didn't just fall flat. We're also missing guys, and so that short turnaround makes me nervous. And I'm worried. I just hope we can right the ship and that we don't go into, because what comes with the short week is going to be a long break after that, and to just stew on 2 bad performances in a row makes me nervous. But this is supposed to be a rave, and I'm going back downhill again. So let's right the ship on a short week.
I would echo that as well. My rave is going to be something that happened even before we got to the game, Tanner. That parking lot attendant across from Gold Medal Park, east of the park. We were $3 short. He let us in. We negotiated a good price. And that was the highlight of the night right there. So it went downhill from there the rest of the way. So nothing to rave on. Guys, one final thought here, and then I want to ask a question to each of you. If you were to put together ingredients for a massive letdown like we watched yesterday, some of the things you would have included in that would be coming off huge emotional high, right? Check. Yeah. Losing your left tackle, check. Playing a team that puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback and Cousins, check. A team that's motivated coming off a national TV loss where they kind of melted down, check. I'm sure there's other what else would you add to that? But it seems like we check all those boxes that if you're going to see a letdown, maybe not 40-3, maybe a 2 touchdown loss, but I feel like that was the kind of the perfect storm for that to happen. Not an excuse by any means, but it's easy to see how it unraveled maybe as quickly as it did.
Yeah, for sure. I had a bad feeling in my stomach all week long. And it's just my Vikings fandom that I was hoping was dead with this new regime. And just seeing national media put us as number 1 in power rankings in some, or why aren't more people talking about the Vikings? I hate when we're disrespected, but I also get really, really nervous when everyone's aboard the train. Like, okay, slow down.
Remember those individuals that were upset that we were a 1.5 point underdog at home? I don't think we have to worry about power rankings for the next couple weeks, guys.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, though. This is my question for both of you. Real quick, what do we finish with for a record? And how does our season end and where? Tanner, start with you. Just spitballing.
Well, where do I think we're going to end up finishing in the year?
Yeah, throw me a record after watching yesterday, because I want to know if you guys are still optimistic and this is just a blip on the radar, or if this is somewhat the new norm and it's a struggle from here on out.
I'm really interested in Tanner's opinion here.
So I still think this is an incredibly talented team. And the coaching staff has already proven on more than one occasion this year that we can bounce back against adversity and play well. So I think they will do that. I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to be Thursday. I do think that they're probably going to drop, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games left. I think they're going to drop 3 or 4 of those.
Give me a firm number, 3 or 4.
It's just, I'm going to say 3.
3 more games. So you have them at 12 and 5. Does that still get a 2 seed?
It does. It does get a 2 seed, but it really depends on how other teams finish as well. I think San Francisco has a really easy schedule to finish the year. I could see them winning out. And the NFC South doesn't really worry me that much. So it comes down to, I think, how San Francisco plays going forward. And I do think, I mean, obviously we're going to get a home run playoff game most likely, as long as they don't go on a horrible losing streak here to end the year. So I like our odds in a home playoff game. I do think they'll win, probably first and second round. And I'm hoping we can make it to the NFC Championship and get a rematch with the Eagles, but it feels unlikely that. I guess I shouldn't say that. They got a pretty tough division, and they have to play Dallas again here. So,
Okay. So you're
guys,
still
I
saying
don't know where we're still going to finish. I'm going to say second or third round in the playoffs. So,
Tanner says 12-5, 2-3 seed maybe, winning a game or two in the playoffs. Goose, why don't you nail that one down a little more? What do you think?
I think we have 2 more losses in us.
which
Sam?
one specifically are you eyeballing? I'm curious.
As much as I hate to say it, I'm thinking Patriots on the short week with injuries and another good pass rush and defensive head coach that we're going up against. I think we get back on track against the Jets, beat the Lions, beat the Colts, beat the Giants, lose in Green Bay, beat the Bears.
Goose,
Patriots, Packers, losses.
we didn't talk about this at all, but I was going to say the exact same thing. So
Yeah.
Then where are we going to go in the playoffs? We going to win 1 game, 2 games, no games, 3 games? What do you got?
Super Bowl or bust. We right the ship. We get to the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
I'm hanging on for dear life on my hope there.
I know you were driving back from deer hunting yesterday, and maybe the screen was a little small, but we got beat by 37 yesterday, Goose.
Yeah.
That's a Super Bowl team.
Yep. It's gonna light a fire under them.
I think Tanner would say unreal for the 1000th time. I'll go 13-4. I'm going to say a couple more losses. It wouldn't shock me if they lost to a team they shouldn't lose to and beat a team that they might on paper look like they have a chance to lose to. I'll stay firm on that 2 seed. I think it's inevitable that San Francisco and Seattle probably each lose another game or two. I don't know. I could see us winning 1 game and then losing at home in similar fashion to last night's performance. Again, if we have to play Dallas, because that pass rush isn't going anywhere. But hopefully I'm wrong. But I think collectively what we're saying is it's not as bad as it feels today. 12-5, 13-4, home playoff games in the future, and these teams all over, they change from week to week. And at the end of the year, we could be talking way different vibes as well. So any closing thoughts, guys?
I am just curious to see. We already stated that we're excited to see how they bounce back, but we're playing some really good defenses again going forward here. I read last night the Patriots are like first in the league in yards allowed per play, I think. So extremely well coached. Jets got a good defense. Robert Saleh is obviously a defensive-minded head coach, and I think the players really like playing for him. Detroit is second in our division now. They're ahead of the Packers. They're going to be playing spoiler. The Packers are going to be playing spoiler. Colts played the Eagles tough yesterday. Like, we have a lot of tough games going forward here. So we say this every week, but we're really going to find out again what this team is actually made of. So I just hope they come out firing against the Patriots. I am a little concerned. I don't know if I missed it, but I'm a little upset that there wasn't like a player or a coach that came out last night and just said, guys, we really screwed up. Like, fans, we're sorry that we did put a performance up like in front of all of you that was just completely uncalled for. And I just hope somebody in the locker room lights a fire under everyone's butts. So
Be curious to see how the lines hold up on each side, defensive line, offensive line, because I think that's probably the key to the next several games against these really good defenses. You got to put points on the board, of course. So, Goose, any closing thoughts?
No, I'd also like to see though a verbal leader kind of step up and talk. And then I'd mentioned earlier this year that I'm a big guy that looks at point differential. Obviously, with that huge blowout, we are now -2 and differential at 8-2. So
Saw
Tony
that.
Romo talked about it a little bit during the broadcast last night, but obviously a big outlier in a game like that where you have a 37-point difference, but just really hoping they can right the ship here.
Well, guys, there's 2 losses. There's a chance we might play each of those teams again coming up in January at some point, which would be awesome. Get a little revenge there. But yeah, that's how we see it. Thanks for watching or listening. Reminder on the contest, 1 game left to predict the score correctly. Believe it or not, we did not have anyone predict the score correctly yesterday. So one more chance Thursday night, 7:20 NBC Sunday Night Football special Thanksgiving edition. We'll see how they bounce back. Hopefully we're talking more positivity after that game. We'll come back to you again to preview that Thursday game later this week. In the meantime, have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.